Ever heard of the word media conglomeration? Is it a big word? Yes, definitely. But is it complicated to understand? No, only if you listen carefully. Hi, my name is Iwi, and together with me is Julia, Kai, and MB, and we will try our best to explain rather, how media conglomeration works. Media conglomerates are large companies that own numerous media outlets. They could be TV networks, websites, newspapers, radio stations, and etc. But removing the word media from media conglomeration, a conglomerate is simply a collection of unrelated activities. They can use their platforms to advertise their goods, services, political views, and even their personal preferences. The more media outlets a company owns, the more it can influence media messages, and eventually, they can influence your thoughts. Why? Simply because of these 5 letters. P-O-W-E-R. Power. Did you know that Disney, one of the biggest conglomerate, owns Hulu, Nat Geo, ABC, Disney Parks, Marvel Studios, Pixar, and a lot more? For them to own a film production company is understandable, but Disney owning broadcasting companies? I think it's out of their line. If these companies did something wrong, who will be reporting it if they own all of the media? Think about that. Media conglomerates are now constituted of combinations of media and non-media outlets. So people that are not necessarily in the media industry are now leaning towards building media conglomerates. But do you know that that dynamic defines the economic development of a country? And it happens in 3 stages, namely seeking influence, seeking business synergies, and seeking portfolio diversification.
When we talk about seeking influence, this simply refers to the act of gaining power to control your own beliefs and decisions, and it can be done by simply manipulating someone. In the context of media and society, it can be seen in news outlets such as the Philippine Star, GMA News, or any journalists that they are trying to shape the public with such news events or issues. So, the way they highlight certain events or stories by using specific language could have a big impact on how people may perceive them, which is such a relevant issue in our society today. So, if you are promoting a certain piece of information, the best thing to do is to ensure that the message is highly accurate. Use this influence in a responsible manner in order to prevent any issues such as fake news. Take for example, we all know that the COVID-19 outbreak had a big impact on our health, economy, and society, causing a lot of uncertainty and changing the way we interact with everyone. It has led to widespread illnesses and death, which has highlighted a big influence with the global affairs. And these global affairs were able to coordinate responses to global challenges and by interconnecting around the world to combat the pandemic outbreak. With this power comes the ability of every nation to work together in times of crisis. And this is such a big influence. This means that the term influence is a very powerful tool that can definitely shape our values and beliefs in such ways. That's why it is advisable to be mindful and evaluate first the information before you absorb it.
Business synergy stage in the context of media conglomeration means identifying and utilizing the potential advantages that can be gained by combining different companies, whether it's a combination of a media or a non-media company. Let's say 2 companies might have different strengths. A non-media company might have its strengths in different kinds of industries, while a media-centered company might have its strengths in telecommunications. By working together as a merged conglomerate, they have the ability to increase profits for both companies. This is the case for emerging countries like Hong Kong. Their industry and media conglomerates are strong and rising, reflected by the conglomerate CK Hutchison, who is involved in media and communications. CK Hutchison is a large operator and owner of ports, retailing, infrastructure, and energy. The conglomerate also owns mobile telecommunications companies in multiple countries, serving over 100 million subscribers worldwide. But that's not the case for developed and competitive countries. In the United States, there hasn't been a single large non-media and media conglomerate that has survived into today. For example, Gulf and Western. a conglomerate active in many industries, owned the film studio Paramount Pictures, the publisher Simon & Schuster, music labels, and sports teams before selling off its various parts and disappearing. These observations lead us to a conclusion that when a company owns both media and non-media businesses at the same time, it's more common in countries that are still growing and developing rather than in countries that are already very advanced and developing.
When people invest their money, they want to spread it out in different things to lower the risks of losing it. But they don't want big company bosses to do this for them. Instead, they hire people who are really good with money to help them make the best plan for this. They make sure to pick things that are not too risky and check how well these things are doing. One of the many things they might invest in are media companies. Take, for example, the Vanguard Group. The Vanguard Group owns a lot of stocks in media companies. They own so much that the value of their ownership is worth billions of dollars. As a big group that invests money, Vanguard has a lot of money invested in some really big media companies like Time Warner, 21st Century Fox, Disney, Comcast, and Google. The amount of money they have invested in these companies is very, very big. In fact, for Time Warner and 21st Century Fox, it's $5 billion each. For Disney, it's $10 billion. For Comcast, it's $11 billion, and for Google, it's $20 billion.
That's a lot of money.
This means there are some big problems we need to worry about. But compared to before, when people who didn't own businesses would try to use their power to control the economy or government, it's not as bad as now. Instead, the current problem is that people are spreading out their money by investing in different things, which isn't as bad as the earlier problems.
Everything boils down to the question, is media conglomeration ethical? Jim Morrison said, whoever controls the media controls the mind. Media conglomerates tell us that we, the audience, benefit from them because we get cheaper products. But no, these conglomerates are doing this for power and for personal gain. For them to have the free ability to control what goes out to the news and what doesn't go out to the news, it's not ethical at all. Media conglomeration is definitely detrimental to democracy.